What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Bubba Speed Career Mode in MotoGP 20, and it's time to go to Catalunya, and Bubba is right now on a very good streak. He won in Le Mans, he won in Mugello, and it's time for him to go to one of his actually best tracks. I would definitely say that Catalunya is one of those, much like Mugello, that I've been playing for so long, and I've been playing it in so many different games that I feel like no matter what the game is, I can actually adapt myself to being pretty good at it, and I definitely feel confident going into this one, especially because just the gameplay has been so good and been so rewarding. And as the updates come out, things do change here and there, but I've been liking it a lot, and I'm just a big fan of the game overall. I'm pretty sure you guys can really understand that by watching me play, and kind of the way I talk about the game. It's really good. Now, had a hard time in qualifying, I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty disappointed by the way things were going and by the performance in general. Only able to qualify in 7th place, and of course Catalunya has a very long straightaway before you get up to the first turn, and it's also a very difficult turn because, you know, it's a chicane essentially, and to start off like this and almost crashing, it definitely was far from ideal. But we remained in 7th position, so yeah, we lost a couple positions, but going through the turns we were able to get ourselves back up to 7th, so at least we essentially maintained our starting position. And we're gonna start getting to the part of the track right here where I feel like Bubba can definitely, you know, hold his own and actually gain a lot of ground, because this right turn right here, they're gonna come out of it, at least in this case, a lot better, but they're gonna slow down a lot for coming to this hairpin, and Bubba should be able to gain, you know, of course, gain a position there. And I feel like overall that's going to be one of the best passing spots of the track for Bubba. And this turn right here as well. You see they brake pretty early, and I like to brake a lot later, going in there. Maybe lose a little bit when it comes to, you know, getting out of the corner, but I feel like I can kind of position myself in a way to where, despite coming out of it a bit slower, they're going to slow down, because if not, they're going to bang into me. And the AI, to be fair, in this game is a lot better than I was skeptical, but the AI is a lot better because they do tend to get out of the way a lot more. Like right there, Suzuki could have easily just pulled out in front of me and not really allowed anything to happen, and he probably wouldn't have crashed in the old games. But in this one, the physics are a lot more realistic, and the AI riders actually understand, like, they can't just stay in a static position the entire time. If you're getting close to something like that, they will move, and it's definitely it adds a lot of realism to it, and adds a lot more depth to it. So overall, a solid first lap for Bubba, considering how things were going in qualifying, where except for I think one lap, we were pretty much consistently a few tenths off. At least we were able to stay relatively close. I mean, we're a second off, so we're not exactly extremely close. But the important thing, as you can probably see right there, is that, you know, we're at least relatively close to Masia, because we have, what, a 27-point lead or something like that over him. So even if we don't win this race, that's not terrible, but we don't want to lose too much ground, and we definitely don't want to let him get some confidence. But this is his home race, so if he does win it, then that wouldn't be too devastating, I would say. It definitely wouldn't be ideal, but it wouldn't be too devastating either. But Bubba right now, like I said, this is the part of the track where we can gain the most ground, I feel like, because there's a couple of turns in a row where they do break early, like right here. If you can get out of this turn correctly and set yourself up nicely for the hairpin, and I do tend to like to kind of cut this a little bit, cut this short, because I just feel like I can get a decent drive, and, you know, it sets me up nicely for this left hand. You can run it wide, then you cut it in. You have to be kind of careful, because if you go out too hard, you're going to set yourself up very poorly for the right turn, and then of course this one right here. And this is one of my favorite sections, and in this game in particular, it feels like they've nailed it, because I feel like in the old games, it used to be easier to get through there, and that's because, of course, the physics were pretty shit. And I'm talking about like MotoGP on the PlayStation 2 and in the early 360/PS3 era. I'm talking about those games. And as time went on, I don't know, it seems like they made the track tighter, especially in that part right there. And I just feel like in this game, they did actually nail not just the physics, but the way the tracks are laid out and everything. I just feel like it's a hell of a lot better. They actually ran really wide, hit the dirt, which we don't want to do because it slows us down. Not really a risk of crashing if you hit the dirt. It's a lot more likely to crash if you hit the grass, which is obvious because you know, dirt it grips to you, whereas grass, it's a lot more slippery, so it makes sense. Meanwhile, we're able to draft Suzuki get ourselves back up to first position. And this turn, if we can nail it, it's going to be perfect. And there we go. We did it exactly the way I was hoping to. Cut that one really close because there was a good chance we were going to get a penalty there. And we actually have a 0.6 gap, which is very, very good. Because right now, coming out of this turn, not having a really good drive. I will say that. We didn't come out of it the best. Didn't really get up as early as I would have liked. And we mess up the hairpin, running it too wide. Able to cut it in relatively nicely, so probably not losing too much ground. As we go in. Oh, ran it way, way, way too inside. That's not what you want to see. That's not what you want to see at all, because that slowed us out. Sorry, slowed us down a lot. Because going into it, we were way off. Definitely blew it. And then coming out of it, we were actually even worse. Blew this turn too. Cut it way too wide. Not looking good. I'm not going to lie. In this lap, completely fucked up. Pardon my French, but I do cuss a lot. I know, I'm aware of that. I'm trying to reduce it a little bit for the sake of my channel, and also, of course, because there's really no need to cuss all the time. But regardless, Bubba Speed going around. Oh, he ran it really, really wide. Actually, almost lost the rear, trying to use that rear brake to kind of push out of the corner, but nails the first part of this chicane. Runs the second part of it a little bit wide, but it is a long apex, so able to maintain a decent line. Pretty much perfect in the Europe car turn, but ran way too wide there. Almost touched the dirt again. Luckily didn't, and no penalty so far. That's very, very good. That's always good to see. On the final straight. So, this is going to be interesting, because that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, they're definitely going to have a power advantage, and with the fact that they can draft us, and it's such a long straightaway, you can actually draft them back sometimes if you're in the right spot. Luckily, they hit the brakes. I mean, like, look how early it is, and I don't quite understand why. The difficulty, I feel like, is good enough, because I struggle on most tracks that I'm not really good at, to the point where I actually have fun battling, and it's not frustrating, because I'm still trying to learn the game. And like I said, they've been updating it constantly, so every update has kind of made the game like drastically different, and you don't really see that from most games. Like, most updates are just, they add a few things here or there, and they nerf this, they nerf that, but so far, like, every time they've put out an update, it has really drastically changed the gameplay. Penalty right there, a half a second penalty too. That's massive. That is a huge penalty, considering how close they are right now. That could really drastically ruin, or affect our chances of actually winning this race. Almost half a second is a lot, especially because, as I always say, I don't really feel like that gained us anything. Like, I don't feel like coming out of that the way we did gave us any kind of a boost or any kind of an advantage. I just feel like, hitting the grass actually slows you down. I mean, it makes you kind of freak out and ruins the way things are going, and that's not what you want to have. That's for damn sure. We have a 0.7 gap right now, but this is a part of the track where they usually gain quite a bit. Ooh, got another penalty too. Almost 7/10. Basically 7/10. So, not good at all. Suzuki right there. Masia in second. Almost crashed out Masia by accident, and I want to emphasize this. I pretty much say this every video, and it's just because I honestly, like, I'm kind of embarrassed for how I was playing MotoGP 19, because I had no regard whatsoever for actually playing it the right way, and that was all because the game, in my opinion, was not good. The steering was really frustrating. I've said that many a time, and I bumped into people constantly. I used them to get advantages going in and out of turns, and in this game, that's not something you can do, and I'm very, very happy about that. And I just like to, I try to keep things as clean as possible. So if you see me bumping into people, it's not on purpose, unless I'm just like desperately trying to crash somebody. But that's not really gonna happen unless I'm just like completely desperate and kind of want to make you guys laugh. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Ran really, really wide, almost crashed out right there. That would have been devastating. But regardless, running that wide is terrible because we have that huge penalty. And if you look at the HUD on the bottom left, there's a shit ton of people grouped up right there, and we can potentially lose 2 to 3 positions at least, with this penalty, and you never know, it might get more. We only have 2/10 over second place, and that's not much between. There's not much between second place and third and fourth, etc. So, not looking the best from that point of view, almost got another penalty. Luckily, we were able to keep it just outside of what they would consider, you know, cutting the track. As we go into the last few corners, gotta get this one right. Essentially, do get it right. Ran a little bit wide, didn't get the best drive out of it, but we're able to get a 1.1 second gap together. Almost got another penalty. Ran this one wide, struggling with the tires clearly. I mean, you can see pieces of it going flying everywhere. Cutting it to, I don't know, like that looked like it was gonna be worse, but it was actually all right. It was decent. Going to the final corner, got to come out of it fast. Able to come out of it pretty decently, but as you can see on the HUD, they're right there. It's gonna be a matter of how many positions we lose. Okay, that's one for sure. Suzuki finished in front of us, so regardless, we didn't win the race. Down to third. Okay, well, luckily Finati was a 10 almost. Well, he was, you know, not far off at all, but in fact, he was only 0.04. So really close. But luckily, we were able to get third. So a podium finish despite some issues, and Masia only gained a few points, so nothing to really worry about there. We, you know, we're set. We're definitely set. I would have preferred a win here, or I would have preferred to at least finish above Masia. But all things considered, you know, like a hard time in qualifying and just struggling kind of with penalties and just honestly kind of like making a lot of dumb mistakes. I can't really complain too much with third position. Of course, I would have preferred something a lot better, but mistakes have been made, and that's all gonna. Hopefully that'll change as I get more experience with the game and as we move up over the classes. And still feeling very confident. Next up is Sachsenring, which is actually a track that I might actually prefer over Catalunya. So it's gonna be a very fun one. I look forward to seeing what we can do there. Bubba is meanwhile making more and more money, which of course is gonna be very helpful for paying his staff, because of course you can get better engineers and better managers and stuff like that. And we're gonna try to save as much of that for next season if we do end up moving to Moto2. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and and hit the notification bell. And let me know in the comment section down below if you have any recommendations, any tips on how to actually perform better. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.